Please welcome Gary Little, CEO of Foursquare, and Miriam Jawar, host and founder of Mobile Tech Podcast and managing editor of Pocket Now.
Hello, everybody. How's it going today? Before I introduce Gary, you probably know me as an independent journalist, and my name is Miriam Jawar. I'm primarily the founder and host of the Mobile Tech Podcast. So this is not about me. This is about Gary. Gary Little, the CEO of Foursquare. Hi, Gary. How are you doing?
Very well. Nice to be here with you.
Absolutely. Those of us who remember Foursquare as a check-in app, where are you guys at today? How did you get there?
Yeah, great question. And yes, this does happen. It's been fun over the last couple of years to, in effect, reintroduce ourselves to the world in a lot of ways, because we started as this, rich social media network many years ago, but have now taken all that capability, right, and reimagined the world as a location and geospatial platform serving enterprises. And in a lot of ways, we've been somewhat noisy with acquisitions and things that we've done, but also in some ways very quiet as we've rebuilt the company and refocused on creating the location layer of the internet. So we're very much around, thriving and much different than we were before. And so it's very fun to hear these kinds of stories, because I love saying, yes, we actually are around. We're just different than what you remember. And I remind people they actually use our technology a heck of a lot more than they understand today, right? When you tag tweets in Twitter, when you use Uber, you're using a layer of our technology that powers some of those experiences. And so we like to say 1 billion plus people a month use our technology, but aren't necessarily aware of it.
Do you want people to still know Foursquare as a check-in app? Is this an important part of your history, or do you kind of like, let's move on? We talk about this a lot internally. I actually like that we have this very rich legacy. People have a familiarity with the brand. I think it also helps quite a lot when we talk to our customers. Our customers want Foursquare to win. And I think that's a very rare thing in business, very hard to get to that place where your customers are invested deeply in your success. Tell us a little more now, though, about what you're doing that differentiates you from the competition. If you're alone in your car as a driver, unless you're projecting your screen to the display with CarPlay or Android Auto, you really want the system in the car to have great POI experience, basically. Walk us through that.
Yeah.
What differentiates you, and what do people not know that's happening that's making it so awesome?
Yeah, I think there's kind of two ways that we actually started talking about it in the first set of questions around realizing that Foursquare is still around in its consumer roots. And the reason I start there is, a lot of companies talk about flywheels that they create. What we like to talk about from a location and geospatial perspective is our flywheel, if you will, is grounded in reality. It's tethered to the real world through that app infrastructure that we build, whether that's within our own apps or in other places where you're checking in. You're telling machines with a high degree of accuracy where you are in the world. And if you think about location and geospatial, in the end, it's very simple, a highly complex problem, but if you think about it, it's really just global places in the world and how devices move in coordination.
So you can give me things like, if I buy this house, I can walk to the coffee shop in 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, right?
Exactly right. And so it's us building those core data sets, but it's also enabling, as we like to say it, bring your own data, customers that have tremendous amounts of their own data that we can help enrich and be more dynamic. And so we're building that platform infrastructure that allows companies to bring that into their technology, because most companies don't want to figure out all this complexity. If you think about the evolution that we talked about moving from a consumer company to an enterprise software company, but I think what's even more salient for us from a strategic perspective is we've gone from what I'll call a product-based company, i.e. we're going to package up all this stuff and send you back something that you use, a UI or some product experience, to building blocks that allow you to unlock this stuff. So we're breaking down even in our own technical architecture.
Give me maybe the hypothetical anecdote of what a consumer experience would look like, maybe involving some brands that wouldn't operate without Foursquare right now.
I'll give you kind of two examples. One, how it can play out almost unknown to the end consumer, but really valuable to the overall platform. You think about mobility networks, one of the big things that they're always struggling with is literally simple things like toll costs. And that's toll costs when drivers don't have a passenger, right? So how do you dynamically
create the optimal routing algorithm that allows you to service customer to customer to customer, but also reduce your cost when you don't have a paying passenger in the car. The other side is, you think about pick a coffee company, with a lot of stores, maybe more than anyone knows. I'll say Starbucks, not working with them on this, but potentially could in terms of how do you engage in a dense store network? How do you engage your customers to do simple things like remind you, Miriam, as you're walking in, you have a 2-for-1 coupon in your app. Right, that simple nudge on the shoulder as you're stepping in, that consumer experience that's highly valued.
I want to talk about some of the new technologies you're working on, if you can share anything about it.
Yeah, but I'll talk about something we launched earlier this year. Last year, we acquired a company called Unfolded that was built, effectively a team that had been working on a bunch of these mobility solutions and built some of the most interesting geospatial open source technology. Very simple use cases. If you think about, we were talking before about supply chain and logistics. If you're building a routing engine for a logistics use case, you don't actually want to know the front door of a Walmart. You want to know the loading dock on it. So by creating a hex structure that gets you to a 1-by-1 meter, this is the loading dock you're going to,
accuracy,
you're creating this. So that's something we're super excited about that we just launched in February, March time.
Can you share some of the companies you've been working with, maybe?
We do a lot of really interesting work with folks like Redfin. I think are doing some of the most interesting things in really providing their consumers a deeper understanding, again, of that home buying journey. We do a lot of stuff on the geospatial analytics side with companies like Joby Aviation, who have been in the news a lot, to create a lot of the dynamic analytics that are required to figure out like route density for this new form of urban transportation. It brings maps alive, and that's a lot of what we're working on in terms of data visualization and things like that. That's the other side of it, is the end consumers often are humans, and in the end, visual cues in mapping and geospatial are just highly, it's how our brains are trained to understand these data sets. Machines look at it in a completely different way.
Do you want to give us some final words as we wind down the talk?
No, it's been really fun. I mean, I think the big takeaway for most, hopefully, is just the journey that we've been through from starting our roots as a consumer company to now really focused on being that location and geospatial platform that we've been talking about. So it's been super fun.